California Department of Education in the Local Agency System Support Office, and we're happy to have you today at the Local Indicator Parent Involvement webinar as part of Tuesdays at 2. The topic for today is Priority 3, Parent Engagement, and we will be doing a number of things. We'll be looking at the general background for the local indicators, understanding the requirements for the local indicators, and looking at how to incorporate these results into the LCAP. This is an ongoing series that we've been having, and so we'll spend a few brief minutes talking about what we've done in previous Tuesdays at 2.
Good afternoon. This is Jonathan Siegel, and we'll go over just some background information on the local indicators before we dive into Priority 3. So keep in mind the deadline for completing the local indicators on the dashboard is November 16. In order to complete the upload of the local indicator information to the dashboard, LDAs will need to assign a dashboard coordinator, and here's the link to the application that needs to be filled out. This is also a link to the local indicator webpage on CDE's website. Note that all of the presentations that we're presenting on the Tuesdays at 2 series will be available on this webpage once they're approved and made accessible for posting. So these, one of the reasons is to provide this to you electronically so that the links are available to you electronically as well. So what is a local indicator? So the evaluation rubrics are required to have performance standards for all 10 state priorities, and 9 and 10 being for County Office of Education only. And for some of the priorities, we have data that's collected at the state level, such as chronic absenteeism rates, suspension rates, that is importantly is comparable across from one LEA to another. And so for some priorities, the performance standards and the evaluation rubrics come to us in the form of state indicators. And state indicators are calculated using state-level data that, again, is comparable from one LEA to the next. But we don't have such data for all priorities. And so for those priorities for which we don't have state-level data, the State Board of Education has adopted local indicators that's calculated using locally collected data. And so here is the list of the priorities for which we have local indicators. You'll notice Priority 3 is circled there, and that's the one we're going to talk about today. So for each local indicator, there are three things that an LEA must do in order to indicate that they've met, to check met on the dashboard. And the first of these is to measure your progress with respect to the priority in question, and report that progress at a regularly scheduled public meeting of the local governing board. And then you report the results to the public through the dashboard. So a couple of things to note here. One is the results are reported to a local governing board at a regularly scheduled public meeting. And so that is a requirement. And that has implications for your planning, for your schedule. And so remember, a minute ago, we had noted that the deadline is November 16th, which is just a little under 2 months away. Also, when you report the results through the dashboard, you do so by completing self-reflection forms for self-reflection tools. And these self-reflection tools are not necessarily designed or are are not necessarily designed to be the instrument by which an LEA measures their progress, or at least not the only instrument that's used to measure their progress with respect to the priority in question. The way that an LEA would measure their progress is largely up to the LEA. There's a lot of there's an emphasis on local accountability and local control there. And so however an LEA decides to measure their progress, they would then report the results of that measurement to the local government board, and then use that data that was collected through the evaluation process to then fill out the self-reflection tools on the dashboard. At this point, we'll go ahead and I'm going to turn it over to Lydia.
Thank you, Jonathan. So on this slide, we are just providing a review of one of the best practices that we've shared in prior webinars in terms of reporting the results to the local governing board. As you can see on the slide, as a best practice for stakeholder engagement, an LEA is encouraged to provide the local indicator reports to the governing board as an agenda item for public comment rather than as a consent item on the agenda. And then in terms of reporting to the dashboard, if an LEA completes the self-reflection tool and meets the standard for the local indicator, the LEA would then select met. However, if the LEA does not complete the self-reflection tool that Jonathan was talking about a few minutes ago for a specific local indicator, the dashboard